Good day, you good people out there in the troubled world. I wanted to tell you a little story today, which was a bit of an incident, I suppose. It was more of an unplanned situation that just came up. And this one was, I'm sitting outside doing a bit of editing, and this guy walks past me. I would say 20, but I later found out he's 23. And he sits behind me like, and I'm just carrying on. Anyway, he walks past one or two times to go to the coffee shop or the toilet. And on the way back, he stops off. He says, "Hey, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm fine." And he says, "Oh man, I'm having a rough day today." And I said, "Really? Do tell." And he was telling me, we started talking. He said, he's here from America, he's from California, he's born in California, but his family or his heritage is Filipino, and he's as white as you come. He's a Caucasian guy, very little of the Philippine colors in him, and he had this kind of like 60s look about him, with the long hair and the cap hanging in the front and baggy trousers, baggy t-shirt type of thing, bit of a loser looking really. And he was saying to me, "Oh, I'm trying to escape my family because I sneak downstairs and they're trying to keep me in the office. They're trying to keep me in the room because he's been here apparently. I think it's about 4 months or something." And the story unravels. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye. Where he's complaining that they're trying to keep him sort of like reserved as to what he can do. Limit what access he has to going outside and wandering off and doing things, and he's trying his best to sort of like, he sneaked out today. He kind of borrowed borrowed his mum's phone, and he came out, sneaked out down the stairs and all that, and he was just getting all very confusing, and he was talking about having to get out because he needed to get away from the family. And I said, okay, so without making this too long a story, it was like he's saying he's been here, as I said, 6 months or 4 to 6 months. They're trying to keep him from wandering off and meeting people and doing stupid things. And to give more weight behind why they're saying that, I begin to understand what he was saying, is that he was on drugs in America. He was hooked on it big time. Then he was into all the heavy smoking and the sort of like, what's it called, vaping and shit like that. And he was a bit of a guy with no direction, no goals, no fucking anything basically. He was just an entitled little prat, as I'm finding out the more I talk to him. And he was whinging and whining like a pussy. He was talking about how everybody's trying to control him. And I'm wondering to myself, this has got a mental problem as well as all this shit. But anyway, it was unraveling all the time that basically he wanted to get out, do things, meet people and do all kinds of shit, but they're trying to prevent him from doing that. Possibly because they feel responsible for him because he's a bitty loser. He's left the USA so he can come here for rehabilitation, he said, quote unquote. And I said, exactly what does that mean? He said, well, I was on drugs and I got a bit carried away, so I decided to come to the family here and just get away from it all. I think what he's saying is to get away from the connections he had over in the US. And of course, when he came here, his family is obviously very worried about him, and they're trying to make sure he doesn't wander off and do anything stupid here as well, which is probably even easier to do if you hang around with wrong people here. So he was just beefing about this a lot and complaining and whining. He was like a woman. He really was like a woman. He was behaving like someone who was on drugs already, and he didn't look it. He looks quite clear, and he was saying, "I'm not on it now," but he had this like the effects of him. He was holding his phone in his hand, shaking like this, like he was kind of like everywhere. His head bouncing all over the place. His attention span was like a child, like a toddler, and everything he's saying had no real concurrentness to it. It wasn't associating to anything. It was just, he was off the wall in all kinds of ways. Though at times you seem rather relevant, but just as easily as you start getting to understand him, he was off on another fucking tangent. So anyway, he was saying things like he needed to get a SIM card for this phone because he doesn't have a phone number and all that. And I'm trying to make sense of it. I said, look, if you've got a phone, it's got a phone number in it. Otherwise, you can't have a phone. You can't access things. He said, yeah, but this is my mum's. It's his phone, but his mum's using it, and she's got a SIM card in there, and they're preventing him from using it. So I said, okay, so how did you use it now? He said, well, I found out how to unlock it. He's a bit of a tech whiz, so he kind of worked a way out of it again. So he got access to it, but he's still saying he can't use it. So work that one out if you can. And anyway, he started to talk to me, and he says, man, I don't know what to do. Can you advise anything? And I was at a point now, after 10 minutes, I was really bored with him. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to fucking lay into him. He wants my opinion. I'm going to be blunt with him. I'm going to say whether he likes it or not, what I think. And the feeling, the information he was giving me tells me he was a sport motherfucker, and he knew he was sport. He said, yeah, I can do anything I want. They give me access to money. He doesn't work. He's 23 and he doesn't work. He's never worked. So he's living off his parents. And I said, so what, you got like a degree in the USA? You studied there? He says, no, I didn't. I left school. I'm in like a high school. I'm thinking, you're 23, you're in high school, or you was in high school, you're on drugs, you're vaping, you're doing no bloody work, and your parents giving you money, and you're complaining about it, and you want total freedom. He wants anonymity. He wants to be able to be free to do what he wants without repercussions. And I'm sure when repercussions did come, they'd probably bail his arse out of it. So as this conversation unraveled, it was becoming evident to me that this guy had no idea what he wanted to do. I think he came to the Philippines basically to get away from what he was doing over there. Well, maybe even his relative or someone kicked him out there because his father's not there either. He was living with someone, an aunt or something. It's quite likely they had enough of him and they told him to just go back home, just go to your mum. So I think that's the upshot of that. He kind of kept offering me, look, yeah, man, he said, you seem like a solid guy, because I was being honest with him. I was telling him, look, man, you're acting like a fucking woman. You're behaving like a pussy, and everything you're saying so far sounds to me like someone who's entitled. You know you're entitled, and you're not doing anything about it. So wake the fuck up, get your head out your ass, and appreciate that your family here are trying to protect you. They love you. That's why they're trying to keep you out of harm's way. And you're looking at that as a bad thing. So I'm thinking, I can't handle much more of this guy. So I'm talking. He says, let me get you a coffee. I said, look, I don't need a coffee, man. He said, I'm going to get you anyway. I said, okay, just get me a mocha. So he went in there, he got me a large mocha. And then he started talking more like, as I say, it was all fragment all over the place. And he said, so what do you think, man? He said, you seem like a guy who knows what he's doing. I said, yeah, I've been traveling, I've done things. And I write about people like you. I write about people who are really sport to the fact and the point of they want freedom. You're Gen X, Gen Z? You guys don't get anything right. You can't seem to get your head around the fact that you're responsible for yourself. You need to take responsibility and backlash for everything you do. You can't just say you want freedom and then when things go wrong, you throw it at the family, and then when the family try to do something by curtailing you and make sure that you are, from their perspective, trying to protect you and be safe, you're bashing them over the head about it. So I said, you know what? You make your mind up. You either sit down one day and say, look, all the things I need to do, and make a plan, or you're going to carry on like this, and what, 2 years from now, where will you be? Back on the drugs again, probably, right? Back in America, doing stupid things. And I don't think, quite honestly, you're going to last. Just look at his state, I don't think you're going to last. He wasn't shocked, but he didn't totally embrace the rationale and the directness I was saying to him. But I think finally he started to realize that I was going to pussyfoot around him. I wasn't going to fucking play the nice guy and telling sweet things he may want to hear. He's a fucking adult. And he kept saying to me, I'm still a child. I said, you're behaving like a child. You're an adult. You're an adult at the age of 23. And he says, yeah, well, I still feel like a 16-year-old. I said, well, you're behaving like a 16-year-old. And you know what? If you, my friend, continue the way you are, you ain't going to have a fucking future. Because you're going to walk into another brick wall. You won't know what to do. Your family, you will have kicked them away. You would have, excommunicated yourself from them. And you'll be fucked. And he said, yeah, okay, whatever. And then he started to talk to me about, look, I need to go and get a new SIM card. And he rabbled on about something. I said, look, just go and get your stuff. I said, if I'm here when you come out, we can talk some more. But other than that, I'll see you whenever, man. But it was so bizarre that this guy, he was lost. He was lost to the point that he had no idea what he wanted to do, where he was going. He hasn't even internalized the shit that he's done. But he's quite happy to jump on his family because they were trying to protect him. They're trying to protect him from himself and from the possibilities of meeting people who are going to fuck him up even worse. But he couldn't see that. Or he saw it, but didn't want to accept it. So he said, look, I just want to travel around here and just do what I want, when I want, how I want. And I said, yeah, I know whose money's paying for that. He said, well, so does my family, they'll pay for it. I said, there you go, as long as you have this mentality as a typical fucking American, you are acting like a spoiled American, a brat. He said, yeah, I know I'm a brat. I said, if you know all these things and you're fucking up, what do you need to talk to me for? If you know all the answers, if you know what you're doing and you still keep doing it, you're an idiot. Because this is the potential of a madman, of an insane person, is to continue doing the same thing and expect fucking changes, a different outcome. I said, man, to be honest, I'm talking to you and I'm feeling tired already. There's something so negative about you, you're wearing me down. You're in my face, you're screwing up my positivity here. So man, take a walk and I wish you well, but you know what? Get your head around this or you're gonna end up not in a nice place. So on that note, he shook my hand, he got me the coffee, and he said, okay man, I'll see you around. I said, yeah, maybe. And I can't believe it. It's like, wow. I mean, there's some weird motherfuckers around there, from women to men, and they all have this sense of entitlement. Primarily those from America. A couple of English people as well, but mainly Americans. And the whole kind of like flavor you get around where I am at the moment, there's this kind of like, they're so focused on the American way of life. They behave like Americans, they act like Americans, they have this kind of insane appetite for doing stupid things like having dogs with padded feet. They put socks on the dog's feet, they carry them in push chairs like a baby. They're forever like 2 or 3 dogs, they put them on the table and everyone's sitting there trying to eat some of your dogs, and it's just like it's like a fad, and they're just into it now, and they're gay as fuck, a lot of them here where I know I am. And all the guys, most of the guys I speak to here, they have this feminine way about them. Most of them have a feminine way, and the women seem more manly than the guys in terms of power. They exude a much more control and have a sense of authority than these guys do, and it's pitiful. And I put that down to basically having mothers and being smothered by everything they do. The guys that taken care of by the moms, whereas the girls don't quite have the same. It's like China, they don't quite have the same support because they're looked down at in some ways as being girls, and it's pitiful. I see this and I think, wow, man, if this is the life these guys are going to have, a lot of them are going to face some shit when real responsibility comes on their shoulders. They're going to fucking crumble like a chalk wall. Anyway guys, that's my rant for a while. Have a good day.